Big up. Oh, you may have noticed that I've just had to dye my hair to a dark brown colour. Yes indeed, because it was too white. So yeah, I had to pay £1.50 just to use the toilets in Sainsbury's. Can you believe it? Just to use the toilets in Sainsbury's. Wandsworth, no less. Yep. There's my ticket. £1.50 to use the toilets. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Honestly, unbelievable. And down in Wembley, our pretty old Wembley, they're absolutely free. £1.50. £1.50 just to use them. It's down. Our car's nice and toasty. It is cold out there. It's like 1.5 degrees. We're going to get 0-1. We're going to get 0-1 for some time. I had the most awful time on the turbo trainer yesterday. I had a consistent average speed of 21 mile an hour for the last 3 or 4 rides. And my average speed dropped to 19.3 yesterday. I was absolutely exhausted. That's the only thing that I can put it down to. Absolutely tired. And that was probably one of the most worst rides I've ever had on the turbo trainer. One of the most worst rides I've had on the turbo trainer. Definitely wasn't an enjoyable ride. That was a ride where I just had to stop. No amount of Lucozade or energy gels would have helped that ride. Nothing. I'm telling you. No amount of Lucozade or energy gels or jelly babies or jelly beans would have helped that ride. Glucose I was just tired. And do you know what my initial worry was with that ride? I'm going to refer to an example from Alex Dowsett. Just very, very recently he got COVID and he's recovered from it, thankfully. And so what he was saying was this, really, really interesting, which was that he was basically found himself getting ready for to do the hour record, give the hour record a try. And he found himself basically getting, he looked at his power numbers, they were down. Even my power numbers were down. So from 220 watts down to 184, my power numbers were down. I'm usually hitting 220, 215. They were significantly down on that same ride, 30-mile ride, and it was just, the average speed was down. You know your power's going to be down as well. And so Alex Dowsett, infamous time trialist, suffered from a bout of COVID recently, and I thought, God, am I coming on with COVID? I've been very, very fortunate not to get COVID yet. That is snow outside that you guys can see. I've been very fortunate not to get any sort of COVID yet, God willing. And so basically Alex Dowsett, he went on to state prior to getting COVID that the issues leading up to it, were he basically just felt tired. Things weren't right. The power numbers that he should have been getting, he wasn't getting. During preparing for the hour record. Anyway, so he goes home and he ordered a COVID test. I don't know, I think it was a home COVID test or something. And he had a party or a gathering or something at his house, or met at dinner or something, and he asked for a drink. And so he couldn't taste the drink, and immediately alarm bells ringing. Thankfully, I checked my temperature's not up. I am feeling tired. I'll be absolutely honest with you, I am tired. So yeah, but it's I have felt like this as well. Also, training when it's particularly cold, that really knocks it out of you. That really, really knocks it out of you when it's particularly cold. I don't think there's anything to be alarmed about. The subject, cut to. Right, the subject that I'm going to speak about today is this. Being employed and being self-employed, differences. Okay. Many of you may or may not know, prior to my videos, that I was employed with local authority as a housing officer for quite some time. For about 20 years I was employed, and then in 2017 I made that break away from look at these guys going into the bus lane, man. There's a bus lane camera there and you're just rolling along the bus lane like it's like nothing to you. This is the way you do a bus lane. You wait until the white line is finished, then you enter the bus lane. They're all looking at fines, these guys, honestly, really. Anyway, so okay, the differences that I found, and I wouldn't go back to employed work. I can't see myself going back to being bossed around by someone. I had done it for many, many years, but it is a way to start. I would not recommend self-employed work to anyone. Okay, I'm a driving instructor. I wouldn't recommend self-employed work to anyone unless there should be enough energy in your... You should do both. Right, so if you want to make that transition from self-employment, from employed work to self-employment, so from a 9-to-5 office job into a 65-hour a week self-employed job, then don't make that transition unless you haven't got enough energy. This whole thing, I'll have lots of time once I'm self-employed, I get no time in my full-time job. When you start self-employment, you realize what real work is. When you're working for yourself and you're grafting for yourself, you realize what real work is. Because you're working for yourself, you are your own boss. There are no days off, there are no sick days. You don't get paid, quite simply. Go with a company setup, don't go with self-employment. Go with a company setup. Thankfully, I got furloughed. People who have been self-employed during this whole pandemic haven't received any assistance from the government whatsoever. So definitely go with the company houses, company setup, limited company setup. Don't go for the self-employment route. Even though you'll be self-employed under a company setup. But yeah, definitely wait until there's enough energy. I worked for quite some time employed. The money you make is peanuts. It's peanuts, basically. And you realize the beauty of being your own boss. But people say, you can take a break whenever you want. Yes, there is that flexibility. But the clients become your physical bosses. They push demands on you similar to the demands that your own managers would have placed upon you if you were employed in, say, for example, let's Sainsbury's, Argos, a local authority, being a stockbroker somewhere, working for some big finance corporation or a bank. You'd have a manager over you. Has this been done? Has that been done? Have these targets been reached? Have those targets been whatever. Your clients push you and prod you in ways that are challenging. So if you think that, self-employed, you're your own boss, I'll do it part-time, it doesn't work like that. To capture the market, to bring demand in, to attract people towards your service or product, you have to put the hours in. You have to put those hours in. So yeah, what do I prefer more? I wish I would have been self-employed. I wish I would have made that transition to self-employment many, many years ago, at least 10 years ago. I wasted 20 years of my life at a local authority, 20 years of my life, and realised that I wasn't going to be promoted. There's younger people that come along and trump you, quite simply. They trump you, basically. They do stuff better than you, they have more knowledge than you, or they just liked more than you. And I realised, wow, look, I need plan B to get the hell out of it. And so became a driving instructor. That was my path to self-employment, and I wouldn't do anything different right now. I really wouldn't do anything different right now. But yeah, definitely, guys, get self-employed if you can. The thing is, there's no one to guide you. There's no one to guide you in this game. I knew that I had my full-time job, that if all goes pear-shaped in this self-employment, working for yourself malarkey, that I could fall back into my full-time job. The issue that I found was that when I started out as a driving instructor and I had my full-time job as well, I was doing almost 35 hours, 40 hours a week for my full-time job, going into work at say, okay, so how does it work as a driving instructor? You start at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, you find yourself going into work at 9 o'clock, and then from 9 o'clock to 5, you go in with your car. I was working for a large driving school then, a large driving school, a popular driving school, franchised to them. I had a franchise with them, not to them, and I found that their franchise fees were exorbitant. Try to break away, start your own company up, quite simply. It doesn't cost much. Company's house certificate for £15. You can set your company up literally, then getting the accountants done, have a good accountant. So I essentially found myself going into work at 9, having done a driving lesson from 7 to 9, or done a driving test from 7 to 9 in the morning, getting into work at 9 o'clock, working 9 to 5, finishing at 5, going straight out to work again, going to pick up a client in my driving car in Chiswick, from Chiswick, do another lesson. So I used to do about 4 hours of work after work at 5 o'clock. So picking up a student, and then picking up another student, and then finishing at 9 o'clock in the evening. And this, and then Saturdays and Sundays, starting work at 7, finishing at 7, both days. It was an absolutely grueling experience. I'm being absolutely honest with you. It was tough. It was so tough. So essentially what I did is I spoke to my younger brother and they're my advisors in life. Spoke to my younger brother, my older sister. I go, listen, something's got to give here. The demand, when you go into self-employment, if your business takes off, it will bark at you. It will demand you. It will demand your attention. It's like a child. It needs you. And that's exactly what I had to give my time to it. And my full-time job just became a place, and I want to be absolutely honest, if my former colleagues are listening, it was a place eventually where I just went to rest my hands, eventually done no work. I handed my notice in, I think, 3 months or 4 months before, and concluded my full-time employment with my employers, my full-time local housing authority employers, and left in October 2017. It's 2021 now, and it's been a resounding success, my business. I've got 2 cars. I've got a manual and I've got an automatic I teach on. Upgraded to a better car, a manual. Got investment to purchase a automatic, and at the same time, yeah, you can say, oh, you get lots of spare. No, you don't. You find yourself working harder, faster than you were for any employer. Let's be honest. No one wants to be stuck in a 9-to-5 job just moping and rolling along. There isn't any incentive. You don't get any bonus. Whereas if you work damn hard, you do get a damn bonus. I was stuck with a whole lot of people that were, wishing their bottom dollar on winning the lottery. Hey, who's going to play the lottery this week? Oh no, you won't know if you don't try. No, I know that I won't win the lottery. So don't feed me that BS. For the love of God, don't feed me that crap. Anyway, so make sure that you have enough energy in your full-time business to go in your 9-to-5 employed work, to make that transition to go self-employed. This has been going on for 15 minutes now, but all, I hope, important things for youngsters. You can definitely go for your 9-to-5 job. Box junction, so I can't really transition across. You know, I don't know where he's trying to go. He wants me to go into a box junction, and so definitely, you know, before you transition over to self-employed work, make sure that you find a niche that has demand. I knew that this line of work had demand. Driving instructors are very sought after. It's a very, very difficult job. It's like teaching almost. Teaching, you know, people who are like kids, teenagers before they make that transition over into, make that, you know, transformation over into adulthood. Even at 18, who's you know, there's no hard and fast rule to you thinking that you're going to be an adult. But make sure there's enough energy before you make that dip, that nosedive into self-employment. There is no pension. You can take out a private pension if you do wish. That's totally up to you. But I had a pension with my former employer, so I will be definitely calling on that when my time comes. You can take out a private pension, pay your national insurance contributions, and you could take out a private pension if you choose to. And yeah, you know, I you know, would never ever go back to employed work unless, God forbid, something happened to me and I wasn't able to do this any longer. If I wasn't able to do this, you know, this job any longer, then definitely, you know, I'd go back to, you know, I'd do road sweeping. I'll be honest with you, I'd become a road sweep. You know, God forbid, if that ever happened. You know, I'd deliver pizzas, Uber, anything. I would consider anything. So yeah, definitely guys, if you're going to make that transition into self-employed work, please don't just jump into it and think, oh, there's lots of money in it. Initially, when I started out, I'll be absolutely honest with you, you know, I had a car. When I left BSM so leaving full-time work, I was doing 45 hours for my driving school and 35 hours, and that was almost like it was a crazy, like 80-hour, 70-hour week, 65-hour week. Something had to give. Something had to definitely give. Anyway, so you know, something did give, and you know, it was my full-time job. Hand in my notice. When I left, you have a crazy psychological effect. You're sitting at home, you're your own boss, you're looking at your diary, it's not very full because you're starting out on your own. I thought I could bring some students over from my driving school, but they didn't permit that. The policy didn't permit that. So you had to go around, scratch, you know, advertise, put your stuff onto Google, put your stuff onto Yale.com, you know, make a website. With websites, all you need is a good Google page with a hell of a lot of reviews. If you've done a good service, you've got someone to pass, get them to rave about you, get them to talk about you, put it on Google. Don't tell me, tell Google how great your service is. Advertise it locally. I started with 2 or 3 reviews. One of my buddies telling me he had worked as well as me. One of my really good buddies, SM, I'm gonna mention your name, mate, telling me, look, why don't you put your reviews on Google? And I was like 3 or 4 years initially. Like, I'm not really into that whole bloody setting up. This is a, you know, hand to mouth thing, you know, a word of mouth service. And yes, you do get a lot of business like that. Once you're on Google, you'll get, and you know, you might get 19 calls in a week and you may only get 3 clients, but that's enough. You can't have any more. As a solo driving instructor, you can't manage any more than 17 to 15 students a week. You can't. It's physically not possible, and that will rack up easily. If you give one student 2 lessons a week, 2-hour lessons a week, that racks up to you're looking at 65, 62. You count the hours in your diary. It's like, you know, once you get to 55, you know you're going to be doing 65. In fact, you're going to be doing 10 hours in addition. Students always want additional lessons. Don't think it's a walk in the park. You're going to work. You are going to work, you know, incessantly to get your brand out there, to be one of those, you know, champion brands of whatever good or service you provide. And you know, I really used to detest people who ran their own business. What a waste of time. Just go and work in an office. Why do you want all that stress? But when you're when you're kicked in the teeth by your former employers, you're getting no support from them, their targets are becoming more and more unreasonable, you realize, hey, your time is up, you've done enough of this, you've got a little bit of money in the bank, or you keep that job, manage that level of crap with your full-time job and your new venture of self-employment, manage them both together, get enough energy into your self-employed occupation, service, good, whatever you're providing, and then ditch your full-time job. And another thing that helps, if you've got a spouse that works, that also helps, I'll be honest with you. But I had enough hours. I was eventually notching up to 45 hours. Look at this guy, he's 30s on him. So I was eventually notching up 45 hours, eventually. And I had to leave, and and now we're furloughed. Call all my students up again, and we're going to be back up to 45, 55, 57, 58 hours a week. So yeah, guys, if you can, do your own thing. Seriously, do your own thing. Honestly, really, if you can. But don't be led down the garden path thinking that it's easy, or be pushed into something and realize, well, I should have just stuck to a full-time 9-to-5 job. It worked for me, but I made sure that the plan B, that before I left my plan A, my plan B was solid, guys. Yeah, so just don't jump into it thinking that any Tom, Dick and Harry can do it, guys. Yeah, listen, over and out. I'm not going to say too much more about it. Yeah, definitely really tired today.